time doesn't match reality.
Mary Ann Ahern, NBC.
Mayor, can we ask you about the campaign finance reports now that they're out? And there are those who have said that are looking at this more closely than even I, but they say you're burning through money. Can you show us polling that shows that this is working?
Well, what I will say is this. It's campaign season. We're about 40 days out from an election. Of course we're spending money. We're spending money to be on TV. We're spending money in our field operation. We're spending money on voter engagements. So I'm not one who thinks that the thing to do is just continue to hoard money. We feel very good about where we are. We feel very good about the amount of money that we're raising. We're going to have plenty of money to make sure that we communicate, that we stay up on TV. So that's all I have to say about that.
Could you also elaborate why it seems that Garcia and Vallis are the two challengers that you criticize the most? It seems to indicate that you feel that they are ahead of you in the polls.
No, I wouldn't say that at all.
Alice, Tribune.
Could you elaborate a little bit more on that?
I wouldn't say that at all.
Alice?
I think we are in a place where we feel very good about where we are vis-a-vis the other candidates. My challenge and opportunity is to make sure that we continue talking to the voters about what we've done, and that's what we're doing. But of course, it's standard fare to make sure that you're defining the others who want to put a gloss on or spin a narrative that is inconsistent with their track record and reality. So that's what we're doing.
Thanks, Mayor. Alice, Tribune.
Hi, Mayor.
Good afternoon, Mayor. So as far as the migrants go, you had written a letter to the state requesting $54 million more dollars. Where are you in that process? And is the February deadline still looming with a potential, shortfall here?
Well, I don't know what you mean about a shortfall.
Well, in terms of you said we need more money from the state or we're running out. We can't continue to provide the same level of services.
Well, first of all, the legislature provided an appropriation to the city of Chicago as part of the lame duck session. I don't know if you obviously didn't know that. So we work with members of the legislature, including Representative Cassidy and her colleagues, and we got an appropriation that we expect to get relatively shortly to help us with that.
And then after your news conference last week about the CPS situation, the city colleges released a statement saying they had informed your campaign about their ethics policy, that they can't coordinate with campaigns, and they said that they had purged the emails. What was your campaign told by city colleges, and what do you think of the emails being purged?
The city colleges said that they purged them? All right, I don't know. I don't know anything about that, and we have no written record of contact from city colleges. But what I said, and I think I addressed this last week, it's the same issue. It was a mistake for the campaign worker to reach out to the city colleges, just as it was a mistake to reach out to CPS.
Well, you don't have a
Heather Sharon,
record.
WTTW.
What do you know about? Did they call your campaign in August?
As I said, it was a mistake for the. It was a mistake for our campaign worker to reach out. We said that very clearly. I stepped out and I own that. And I don't have any further information at this time.
Heather Sharon. Great. Just.
Hey, Mayor. At an aldermanic forum last night in the 43rd Ward, Alderman Timmy Knudsen, he declined to endorse you in the mayor's race. He said he's staying out of that. He's obviously supported you in 2019. You've appointed him to two positions, including the city council. Are you surprised that he's choosing to stay out of that?
No, it's just something that we discussed. He's got to focus on his race, and I totally understand that.
But does that make you? Does that make you concerned that you have a lot of work to do to win back voters in the North Lakefront and Lincoln Park, especially?
I have a lot of work to do as a candidate running for re-election, and that's what's expected.
That's a wrap, everyone.
Okay. Last night, Tucker Carlson, Fox News, and the Daily Mail featured the homelessness, the encampments that are growing at O'Hare Airport, and all the baggage claims. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Mm-hmm. Anywhere from 200 to 300 people a night are sleeping there, even when the weather is not inclement. Pictures like this, people don't know if they're stepping over bodies or people sleeping on the floors. What are you doing about it?
Well, let's start with consider the source, which is Tucker. No, I think that's fair.
Do you want to see the pictures?
I've seen it, but let's consider the source, which is starting with Tucker Carlson and Fox News. They're never going to portray our city in a favorable light. My understanding is those pictures are quite old, but the fact of the matter is we have taken and will continue to take the steps that are necessary to move people out of the airports. The airports are a very different place than on the street under an underpass. It's a secure location, and the message is clear from me to the Department of Aviation, the police department up there. We absolutely fundamentally cannot have people sleeping in our airports who are homeless. That is unacceptable. And so we're going to continue within the bounds of the law to do what is necessary to provide those folks with support, but elsewhere. They can't be in our airports.
Off topic, Mayor.
Turning the subject to the death of Tyree Nichols in Memphis. In response to his death, the mayor and the police superintendent there ended the use of specialized citywide anti-gang, anti-violence task forces. Has his death and the video made you rethink the use of those task force and units in Chicago?
His death and the horrific way in which he died made me rethink all of our humanity. Watching those videos and how those officers treated him should give all of us pause. And if we don't take that as a moment to rethink everything about how we treat people, about how we serve people, then we've lost, I think, a valuable opportunity. I don't think any of us who saw the horrific way in which a human being, a mother's child, was treated is not going to remember that for the rest of our lives. And so, of course, we rethink and think about everything that we do. But there's a big difference between what happened in that instance and what we do here in the city of Chicago. And I will not, and I don't think you should, conflate the two. We have to take this moment as an opportunity to think about how we, as human beings, can see each other and value the sanctity of life. Because what I saw was people who didn't value and see Tyree Nichols as a human being deserving of respect, deserving of his humanity, his right as a human being. And I hope and believe that justice will be served. Those officers should be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. Certainly one of the questions I have is where in the world were the supervisors? That's the supervisor's responsibility, and they should not skate on this. They should also be held accountable. We saw bystander officers come into the scene as well. What were they doing, and why did they not intervene? It gives us, I think, an important opportunity to really lean into what our values are as a city, as human beings, making sure that our police department understands what their responsibilities are and that they have to view the residents of this city with respect, because each and every one of us are deserving of respect. That's what I think about.
On the campaign trail, you've been talking about the city being in compliance with 80% of the consent decree. It's in compliance with 80% of some level of the consent decree.
Off topic, Mayor, if we could. First of all, I wanted to raise this issue of the endorsement you got 2 days ago from Indigo Magazine that your campaign team was touting just as of today, I believe. Several other candidates are raising issue with this and saying this whole idea of keep the seat. Lightfoot's the only black candidate who can win. If you don't vote for her, we're splitting the vote. They're calling it divisive. And by your touting it, Willie Wilson today even saying you're playing the race card by putting this out there. Can you respond?
Well, I am the only candidate that can win. That's a fact. So the fact that a media outlet has recognized that and put it in writing is something, frankly, that people are saying all over the city, not surprisingly, in majority black neighborhoods across the city. It happens to be a fact. And look, here's the thing. Willie Wilson is all excited about this, and he's calling upon all of us to condemn someone who's exercised their First Amendment rights. What all of us should be doing is condemning Willie Wilson, who has doubled, tripled, quadrupled down on this notion that what we need to be doing in the city is taking the handcuffs off of our police and urging them to act like vigilantes, a mob, and go hunt down what will always be black and brown boys and hunt them down like rabbits. As far as I'm aware, I'm the only candidate, aside from Jamal Green, that has condemned that horrific language. His language and his sentiment that he has now put on, I think, ads, he's repeated all over, to me, that's disqualifying. That's the thing that we should be united in condemning. And I encourage my fellow candidates to do just that. He has no moral ground to stand on when that is a thing that is coming out of his mouth over and over and over again. I certainly appreciate that he has pain and trauma from losing his son, but as somebody who aspires to sit in this seat, you can't be the person who says that our police officers should be free to engage in extrajudicial killings, which is what he is talking about. So when people live in glass houses, they shouldn't throw stones. And Willie Wilson needs to take that back. He needs to apologize and raise the tenor of his content in his comments in these last 12 days of the mayoral campaign.
Well, as we speak of the mayoral campaign, I mean, you're obviously up here touting it on the program. What do you say to the people who may be looking at, this flurry of events and stuff that you're doing seems all geared towards, just raising your profile and everything in the home stretch of the campaign?
In case you forgot, I'm the mayor of the city, and I'm doing my job. And in case you forgot, we make announcements on a regular basis. It would be one thing if we sat back and you never heard from me. You hear from me at least once or twice a week, every week. From the very beginning of my term, through the pandemic, and here on out. So I'm doing my job. This is important work that we must do to help our residents who are returning from IDOC. And you're going to see me every day from now until, because I'm doing my job. And if anybody's got an issue with it, don't show up. Don't report on it.
Hey, Mayor.
Go ahead.
Mayor, back to the Bears.
Yes.
We've noticed that your tweet was deleted from your account after you first, back last summer, in June of last year, when you said the Bears should be concerned with putting a winning team on the field and being relevant past October. Do you regret that initial reaction?
I'm not aware that it was deleted, but no, I don't. I don't regret that. I think, look, I was being a little tongue-in-cheek, as every Bears fan is, as we're sitting here, a couple days removed from the Super Bowl, and we're watching the folks in Philadelphia. Hope's dashed. I think a lot of people felt like Philly was a team of destiny. I know I did. I'm happy for the Kansas City Chiefs and have a good relationship with the mayor there. But look, you know this. What is the main product for the Bears? The Bears' main business is putting on a high-quality team that can go out and compete and beat the Packers, win the division, and then go on to the playoffs and be successful. Every Bears fan that I know wants this team to be great and dynamic and go deep into the postseason. But that has neither here nor there about where we are right now regarding the stadium.
But style-wise, do you wish perhaps, is that the best way for the mayor to reach out to the Bears?
Look, I'm you okay? Yeah. All right. Look, I'm dealing with the here and now, and I'm excited for the opportunity for us to make the business case to have the Bears stay in our city. We've demonstrated that the number of opportunities that they're going to get with the number of tourists that come to our city every year, the amount of, I think, additional revenue opportunities that can be generated from Soldier Field, those simply can't be matched, particularly when you're thinking about the possibility of building a brand new stadium. If you look at, for example, SoFi right outside of Los Angeles in Inglewood, you look at the stadium that was built in Las Vegas, those are $4 and $5 billion stadiums, and the Bears haven't even put a shovel in the ground yet for Arlington Heights. I don't know where that money is going to come from. You've seen the polling that says the people in the village of Arlington Heights are all excited about it, but they don't want to pay for it. I think we've seen at the state level, there's not an appetite for a municipally financed or a state government-funded stadium, and legislation that was passed in the last session that wouldn't allow for a state subsidy for a team that moves from one location in Illinois to another location. So, they're smart business people. They're going to look at and evaluate what the opportunities are. And my belief is that the best case business scenario for them and having a great stadium, having being truly in the best market for them in the country is remaining at Soldier Field, working with us to modernize that stadium, to meet their needs, and to increase revenue opportunities, which I think are really boundless at Soldier Field. So we're going to keep focusing on that and look forward to further engagement with them.
I wanted to.
And regardless of tonight's outcome, we fought the right fights and we put this city on a better path. No doubt about it. Now, as we all know in life, in the end, you don't always win every battle. But you never regret taking on the powerful and bringing in the light. To my friends across the country and my fellow mayors, never fear being brave and bold. I have always believed that when a door closes, another one opens, and so it will be for me and Amy and Viv. Thank you to my family for inspiring me. My love of my wife, our daughter, and the rest of my family grows and grows, and they have always stood by me through thick and thin, and tonight is no different. Thank you, honey.
As a reminder, please remember that all speakers must sign up to speak, and speakers cannot yield or transfer their time to another speaker. Thank you. Our next speaker is William Kelly. Mayor Lightfoot, you and I may have gotten off on the wrong foot. Reporter, WilliamJKelly.com. I'm a veteran reporter in the city of Chicago, Emmy Award-winning TV host, radio, print journalism. I should be sitting over there with my colleagues, but I'm standing over here because on a weekly basis I was going viral asking you obvious questions. And instead of answering them, you told me that crime was down, my videos went viral, millions of views, comments, likes, and shares, and it was hurting your re-election campaign. So you revoked my media credential. That should never happen in a free country. And I'm asking the City Council to take the media credential process away from the next mayor of Chicago and the next superintendent of police and put it in the hands of the Constitution. What you've done to the city of Chicago, I feel like this is more of a victim impact statement than an actual public comment. What you've done to me is nothing compared to what you've done to my city, the city of Chicago, the city that I was born and raised in, the city that I love with all my heart. You became mayor. The people of Chicago elected you. You shut down our schools. You shut down the churches. You shut down the businesses. You did the one thing that I thought could never happen. As somebody who was born and raised on the south side of Chicago, I never thought in my life that I would ever see the city of Chicago brought down so low as you have managed to bring it down. Shame on you. That is a legacy that you are going to have to carry. Future historians are going to have a hard time understanding how you ever even became mayor of the city of Chicago. I intend to write that book. I intend to make sure that at least there is some possible way for the city of Chicago to move forward. I hope that you realize what damage you have done to the city. I hope that after today's city council meeting, you will pack your suitcase and get the hell out of my city. Mr. Kelly, you are a pandemic. You are a pandemic. Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Whip. When Republicans ran to get the House majority, we actually made a commitment to America. We talked about the things that we would do if the people across this country gave us this opportunity to lead and to govern. And we've been hard at work delivering on those promises. Right out the box, we started tackling things like crime. Everybody knows that crime all around the country is running rampant. And there's no place more evident than that than here in our nation's capital. And so I want to credit Andrew Clyde because as a congressman from Georgia, he saw a problem here in D.C. that was not being addressed. And under the United States Constitution, we actually have a duty to govern parts of the District of Columbia. Hasn't happened in 30 years where the United States Congress has stepped in, but it got so out of control that we said, let's take action. And so Andrew Clyde saw crime getting out of control, saw the council's action, where they literally got rid of mandatory minimums for violent criminals. So somebody that carjacks you at gunpoint, after being convicted, can walk scot-free without a day in prison. And so many other violent crimes where they literally took 15-year mandatory minimums and dropped them down to 0. And the criminals are paying attention to this. Crime's out of control in D.C. And so we brought a bill to the floor to get rid of that ordinance, to restore the mandatory minimums, to say if you're going to be a carjacker or a violent criminal, you ought to serve time in jail if you get convicted of that crime. Now, when we filed that bill, I think some in the press actually called it partisan. The president said he opposed it. But we knew we were fighting for those victims who shouldn't be victims of crime. In fact, the D.C. police chief just recently said that for every homicide in D.C., the person who committed the homicide committed 11 other crimes. If you stop the criminal before they kill somebody, think of how many other people you stop from being a victim of crime. Not to mention the lives that you'll save. The carjacker of today may be the person who kills someone tomorrow if you let him out of jail. And so by putting hardened criminals in jail, you're going to prevent crimes in the future. You're going to save lives in the future. And so I'm glad that the Senate is going to take that bill up and pass it this week onto the president so it can get signed into law. And for those 173 Democrats who voted against it, who sided with the carjackers, to paraphrase President Biden, they're going to have to answer why they're soft on crime. But people across America are fed up with those who are standing with the criminals, who want to defund the police, who have this attitude that a criminal should be let out of jail free to commit more crimes. Look at the city of Chicago. They just threw out their mayor because crime is out of control. People are fed up with it. And so at least this Congress, under this Republican majority, is taking action to defend people, to actually stand up against criminals. And so that bill will become law. There's other bills that could become law as well. We passed a bill to stop illegals from voting in D.C. The same week, by the way, that we brought up the D.C. crime bill. President Biden also objected to that bill. Maybe he'll reverse course again, because today in D.C., somebody who is a Russian citizen working at the embassy in Russia can vote in D.C. elections. A CCP member working at the Chinese embassy can vote in D.C. elections. That shouldn't be the case. And there's a bill over in the Senate that hopefully passes to address that. Andy Barr's bill just went to President Biden's desk. We just passed that bill days ago here in the House, and it's already passed the Senate and is going to Joe Biden, that stands up for blue-collar workers who want to have the ability to retire and have a good income. And so they want to invest their retirement savings in accounts that are going to hopefully yield the most gain. And yet through ESG policies that were pushed by the Biden administration because some billionaire elitists want to impose their will over blue-collar workers, those workers are actually getting a lower rate of return so that some billionaire elitist can have the desires that they want out of Washington. So President Biden's going to have to make a decision on that bill that now will go to his desk. Do you side with the billionaire elitists, are the blue-collar workers who deserve the highest rate of return on their retirement income. That bill's on the president's desk as well. I hope he signs it too. And we're bringing other bills this week. You saw the Senate just last week passed a bill to declassify a lot of the information on the origins of COVID. We're going to pass that bill this Friday and hopefully get more facts out. People deserve to know the truth about what happened in that Wuhan lab. It's been shielded in secrecy for too long. There's a lot of information that's classified that shouldn't even be classified. The public should already know it. When we pass this bill to the president's desk, hopefully he signs it so that we can find that out as well. And on a final note, as we're continuing to move forward on our commitment to America, I want to applaud Julia Letlow and the Education Committee because having a Parents' Bill of Rights was one of those key planks in our commitment to America, and H.R. 5 will actually be passed to the floor, and then we'll vote on it when we return in 2 weeks. And then, of course, the week after that, we'll have a big energy package to show the country how we can be energy independent again and lower costs for those hardworking families who are struggling, who are paying too much for electricity costs, for gasoline at the pump because of President Biden's anti-American energy policy. We'll show the country how to fix that as well. With that, we'll take some questions.
So what advice do you have for Brandon Johnson in his first week of office?
Well, I'm loath to give any advice, but I've said this to him privately and publicly: be the mayor for the whole city. Be the mayor for the whole city. He's going to be facing a number of challenges immediately. We've done everything that we could to set him up for success. As I mentioned to him before, and I'll say it here, my door is always open for any consultation that he wants, and I won't even charge him. On the other side, a girl's got to make money, right? And got to keep the family fed. But in all seriousness, I just want him to be a successful mayor on behalf of the entire city. And if he does that, he'll have a great 4 years.
What is next for you? I know you mentioned you'll be private citizen Lightfoot, but can you share any of your plans after?
Well, I will share them when they are ready, but I'm not going to do that now. What I'm mostly going to do is really focus on my family. By the way, my daughter's 4x2 relay team is going to state, so I'm going to go down and watch her run next week. I'm going to be a mom. I'm going to be a wife. I'm going to be a daughter to my mom. And I'm just going to take care of some family business that really needs my immediate attention. And when the time is right, I'll talk about what my next step plans are. They're information, some of them are set, but now's not the time for me to talk about that, but I will.
Mayor, I know you've been asked this several times in interviews, just, any regrets about the way that you govern. I know that you've been criticized for that of style over the last 4 years. Some say that has something to do with why you're not coming back, but I know you've been asked.
Look, I don't spend a lot of time thinking about regret. I try to make the best decisions that I can in the moment. And when we have an opportunity to look back, I think about it and I examine it. But I'm not going to, and certainly not here in my final days as mayor, give into the narrative, which I think is frankly pejorative and offensive, that Mayor Lightfoot was mean and too tough. Nonsense. And because we're family-oriented, I won't use the other word that almost came out of my mouth. The notion that I'm tougher, more combative than Rich Daley or Rahm Emanuel is a joke. If I was a man, if I was a white man, we wouldn't be having these discussions. But I know that there's a different set of standards by which women and women of color are always going to be viewed, and it doesn't matter to me. My life is governed by my faith. It's governed by my values. My North Stars are real clear, and I live my values every day. And we got a lot done for this city. And, again, check the record. You can't do what we did, close the budget deficit we did, write our fiscal house, infuse literally billions of dollars into areas of the city that haven't seen a nickel of investment in decades, deal with the pandemic, deal with rising crime, civic unrest, all of those things, and not be able to work in collaboration. The collaboration is everywhere. This building that we're in is a testament to that collaboration. Sophia King ran against me, and yet here we were, not that long ago, groundbreaking, cutting the ribbon, because we do what needs to be done on behalf of the people of the city, and we put all the nonsense that folks sometimes like to talk about, like junior high school. We put all of that behind, right? I feel very, very good about our record of accomplishment. I am confident that it will live on in the lives of the people that we have touched, in the neighborhoods that we've breathed new life into, and I'm very, very, very proud of what we've done, and I'm extraordinarily proud of the team that we built, of people who love this city, who are experts in the work that they do, and their legacy will live on.
Thank you, Mayor. That's
Okay.
a wrap, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. Spend some money in the Brownsville Winery. Don't just run off.
Hi. Has President Biden or anyone from his administration given you any direct response to your request for federal assistance?
That's an interesting question. What I will say is this. We have had lots of dialogue, but I'm disappointed in the allocation of FEMA dollars that we just got and that was announced last week. We got $5.5 million last fall. We got just over $4 million this time. That doesn't make any sense to me, and we have made our disappointment known through the appropriate channels, but I'm calling upon the federal government to solve this problem. And I'll emphasize again, if we could put people to work legally, it would lessen the strain on all of our resources. When there's no outflow from our shelters because folks can't work legally, that presents a huge challenge, not just here in Chicago, but all across the nation, all the cities like Chicago that have seen this influx of migrants coming to our cities. We need to be able to get them to work. As you know, there's a shortage of employees all across the nation. Chicago's no different. I am confident that we could put to work every able-bodied adult if they had work permits and we were able to do so legally. This is something that I have been talking about with anyone who will listen in the federal government, from the Labor Secretary to the Homeland Security Secretary, the head of Customs and Border Patrol, of course, folks in the White House. They have got to act with all deliberate speed to issue work permits to the people who are already here so that we can lessen the burden. If they're able to go out and work, and take care of themselves and pay for housing, it will solve a lot of the challenges that we are seeing. It's not happening with the kind of speed that is necessary given the crisis that we are all facing.
Mayor,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.